Are you still spending your weekends going from one house inspection to another, only to realize that most of them aren't even worth your time? Today, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to use Google Maps to rule out 70% of house inspections. Okay, the first thing you can filter out with Google Maps is the main road. So how do you check for that? For example, I pick a house, I long press to drop a red pin, then scroll down, and here there's a measure distance option. Tap that. See, from here, I can start dragging and adjusting all the way to... You can see the main road. And in the lower left, it shows 120 meters. Generally speaking, for a 60 kilometers per hour road, 50 meters away is fine. For an 80 kilometers per hour road, you want to be at least 100 meters away. For a highway, you need to check if there are sound barriers or other houses blocking the noise and so on. Basically, if you're 150 meters or more away, there shouldn't be any major issues, unless you're in Melbourne's western suburbs where there are freight trucks or VLANs, which can be very noisy. Isn't this distance measuring feature super convenient? The second thing that Chinese buyers often care about is proximity to cemeteries. So how do you check for cemeteries? You can just zoom in. For example, look here, it's even labeled in Chinese. So when you zoom in, you can see rows and rows of tombstones. That's a little trick. When agents write listings, they'll often say quiet neighborhood. Sometimes though, what they're really referring to is the cemetery. This is a bit of a sneaky trick. Now let's look at the Chinese area, Clayton. You see this whole row. It's all restaurants and some small shops. This means the surrounding environment might not be as good. There could be noise, garbage, loitering, and even safety concerns. Next to it is number 40. Number 51, these two houses, I would seriously discount them. So pay attention to this small row of white houses. These are under high voltage power lines. On the address, there are two obvious signs of high voltage lines. One is these white lines and the other is the high voltage tower, which casts a shadow. If you see this shadow, you can basically recognize it at a glance. As I mentioned earlier, within 100 meters is absolutely off limits, as it can be harmful to the human body. From 100 to 300 meters, it's basically fine, but many buyers still have psychological concerns. I recommend staying at least 300 meters away from high voltage lines. Let's measure it, using the same strategy as before. Place a red dot and slide it down to measure the distance. You can see that from this house to the high voltage line after crossing a street, it's about 80 meters, so that's up to here. At 140 meters, it's within the safe range. But if you want to feel completely at ease psychologically, you need at least 300 meters, which would be all the way to this spot. So what I can do is draw a circle, right? This circle, well, my drawing isn't great, but this circle covers this area of houses. I wouldn't even consider these because not only is there a high voltage line, but you can also see there's a big railway next to it. So all sorts of things are packed in here, and for this area of houses, well, let's continue. Once we've looked at the area, let's look at some specific houses. For example, here, this number 67, it has a bit of a road rushing towards it. From a feng shui perspective, it does have a higher hidden safety risk. For instance, if a car comes speeding over, if the driver is drunk, he could crash right into your house, or even at night, if someone turns on their high beams, it could have an impact. Then, for example, this number 12 here, it has a bit of a reverse attack situation, right? It's facing directly across from something.